race for the best of the best, a no-holds-barred showdown for NASCAR's elite, an event in which points mean nothing, and a pot of gold awaits the competitor who can either outduel or outlast the greatest names in stock car racing. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain. Welcome to the All-Star Spotlight 1987, a race that not only put this special dash for cash on the front page, but also gave birth to one of the sport's most memorable moments. Two of its biggest stars, Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott, combined to write that memorable headline.
The pass in the grass was the ultimate move in the history of NASCAR.
He was the best behind the wheel in my mind, and he could do it. He could do it better than anybody else, and he had just proved it without a doubt.
And Earnhardt loses it, goes on the grass, comes back, and Elliott goes inside. And Earnhardt still got the lead. Incredible. Decent driving by Earnhardt.
They both wanted the same piece of ground at the same time, and neither one of them, you know, I know Bill's pretty stubborn, or can be, and I knew Earnhardt was pretty stubborn, so there was going to be a bent fender before somebody gave an inch.
And there wasn't much real estate to give between 1985 and 89 for NASCAR's two biggest stars. Earnhardt and Elliott won a total of 56 races between them. Earnhardt was on his way to a second championship in 87. Elliott would capture the title a year later. But on that sunny May afternoon in Charlotte, this rivalry went from Earnhardt holding the upper hand to one that would leave these two on a legendary collision course.
And I just got tired of him beating around, so I said, I'm going to, you know, draw a line in the sand, and this is where it's going to end.
Lowe's Motor Speedway would provide Elliott the setting as NASCAR returned the All-Star race, then called the Winston, back to Charlotte after year two was held in Atlanta. At stake, $200,000 to the winner. And with ABC Sports on hand to call the race, NASCAR's All-Stars would have the stage all to themselves. For the first time, this special show would go solo as the main event, a full week ahead of Charlotte's Coca-Cola 600.
It was a big deal, and we had a big crowd. 3 times the crowd we had here originally for the first race, which was news is spelled N-E-W, so the first time you do something, it's going to attract a lot of attention, certainly a lot more than Atlanta.
A new twist, 3 separate segments, with the third a 10-lap mash on the gas for all the marbles that had Earnhardt in a different state of mind.
That was the most aggressive you'd ever seen him run, and that was because it was $200,000, which was a whole lot of money back then.
Up next, a Winston Open winner would set the field for 75, 50, and 10-lap star-studded segments of speed, with a culmination of high drama,
Bodine spinning.
hot tempers, and the move that helped define a career.
Earnhardt is using every inch of racetrack, and Elliott gets together with him. Earnhardt goes off in the grass, brings the car back onto the speedway, and keeps it in a straight line and holds onto the lead. Unbelievable.
Well, that was something else. You know, Bill spun that 95 car out, caused a big mess, and then he come up there and tried to spin me out twice. I didn't take it.
The 87 Winston would feature the last 19 different drivers to win a Cup points race, regardless of the season. Joining them would be the winner of a new race, the Winston Open. Newcomers like Michael Waltrip, Dale Jarrett, Sterling Marlin, and Alan Kulwicki, all looking to make the big show by winning a 100-lap All-Star qualifier. The green flag in the Open, a lot of things getting out of control early, and often as many dreams for making the feature event quickly up in smoke. When the first checkered flag of the day fell, it was local hero and fan favorite Buddy Baker who came away with the $30,000 winner's check and a ticket into the All-Star festivities main event, the Winston.
Man, it feels good. But, you know, Earnhardt and Elliott and those guys, they'll be right in there. I just hope we can move up into Winston.
Baker would join the King, Richard Petty, Bobby Allison, Jeff Bodine, Tim Richmond, Darrell Waltrip, Earnhardt, and Elliott among the field of NASCAR's top 20 guns. 135 laps, 3 segments. The first 75-lap sprint would set the stage for the historic ending yet to come. the 9 races leading into the Winston that season, Dale Earnhardt and his number 3 Chevy had won 6, including 4 in a row at one stretch. But it was Bill Elliott, winner of the '87 season opening Daytona 500, who would bring the car to beat to All-Star Weekend.
Let's see if the pace car comes down off. It's off the racetrack. The green flag is up, and here comes 20 of the best in NASCAR stock car racing, the Winston. Watch the first corner.
In the Winston, Bill was beating everybody pretty bad, but that boiled over. That frustration did, because there wasn't any points on the line or anything else, and I think you could see some of that frustration kind of boiling over on the track.
Elliott's Ford started from the pole for segment 1, and Bill did not look back, slowing only for a mandatory green flag 2-tire pit stop, coming home first without much challenge in that first 75 laps.
It's going to be Bill Elliott streaking to win segment number 1, Bodine second, Waltrip third, Earnhardt 4, Wallace 5, Richmond 6, and it's a photo for 7. So Bill Elliott has collected $25,000 for winning the first segment. You got to say, his chances are pretty good.
Coming up, a 50-lap segment 2 en route to the final 10-lap showdown. Can anyone slow down Bill Elliott? Well, one driver had an idea about how this event should play out. We'll see that when All-Star Spotlight 1987 continues.
I knew what I saw was, if you're Bill Elliott, I knew what I saw wasn't right. If you're Dale Earnhardt, I knew what I saw was pretty amazing.
This year's Nextel All-Star Challenge will mark the 20th anniversary of the famous pass in the grass. Welcome back. I'm Dave Despain. That's our focus for this All-Star Spotlight 1987. Early in this race, it looked like Bill Elliott was going to make a mockery of the rest of the field. The Georgia driver won the first 75-lap segment and barely broke a sweat doing it. A 10-minute cool-down period was meant to give teams time to make adjustments. Now, the engines may have cooled a bit, but the brake did nothing but heat things up for the drivers, especially number 9.
Elliott's car really surprises me that it is hooked up to Winston.
And he's also, I think he's put Davey Allison another lap down, along with a couple of other cars, as he continues to wing it around.
Nobody was going to get by Bill, and I think that was the whole, my daddy really understood that, you know, pretty good, and I think that was the whole meaning for him running the way he ran.
First segment was 75, this one is 50. It is the finale, though, where it gets pretty exciting. As Earnhardt now is low, can he hold Bodine up there? No, can't do it. But I think he'll get him at the end of the straight. Yep, he's established position. He's put the nose in front. Now slams the door on him. And Dale Earnhardt is in second place.
Bill just drove away, just about lapped everybody.
Elliott just seems to be on a streak.
Yes, you know, I noticed it. Well, really, Keith, what's happening right now is he's not straining himself. You know, he's running a good, smooth race, rolling out the throttle, getting in, and the other guys are really straining. They're driving the car down the corner as hard as they can, and they slide work.
Dale's the kind of competitor. You know, he was the kind of guy that couldn't stand to be beat. And, you know, every time Bill would go, it would just like kill him. You know, he would come back and say, man, we got to do something. We got to do something.
You know, we was hoping we'd get the lead this time, you know, where we could get started up in front of Jeff in the 21 car, but, you know, we just had to see. Track position is going to mean a lot for 10 laps.
Well, it should be interesting. The last 10 laps, they'll take the gloves off and go bare knuckles. 10-lap shootout coming up.
So it's Elliott's show so far. Earnhardt will finish in second place in the second segment. So Bill Elliott has collected $25,000 for winning the first segment, $50,000 for winning the second segment. And now as they go 10 laps for $200,000, Bill Elliott will start on the pole.
How strong is that number 9 car?
What do they call him? Austin Bill from Dawsonville. He's pretty awesome today. He's very fast. We were handling good in the first section compared to him. The second session we weren't. Hopefully we'll get that back and maybe we can run with it.
Up next, Bodine would be able to stay with Elliott, albeit briefly. as his run at the main event's top prize took a turn for the worse in turn 2.
I always felt Dale got 2 for 1. He said that Bodine and Bill got into each other. I think he had a hand in it.
And when All-Star Spotlight 1987 continues, push comes to shove when bragging rights and a $200,000 check set up racing's most memorable door-to-door slugfest.
Earnhardt loses it, goes on the grass, comes back, and Elliott goes inside.
Welcome back to All-Star Spotlight 1987, when everything pointed to a Bill Elliott blowout, with number 9 leading all but 4 laps through the All-Star race's first 125 circuits. But with $200,000 now just 10 laps away, pressure was building, and the good old boys were about to leave their manners on pit road and turn this 1.5 mile speedway into a short-track bull ring starting on lap 1.
Here they come. Bodine bids for the lead, has it over the line. Elliott, however, is inside. Earnhardt may be pushing Bodine. Bodine going for the lead. Tire smoke. Bodine spinning. And Earnhardt goes into the lead as Elliott bumped, shoved out of the way.
We were running good that day, and in the last 10-lap shootout, I was on the outside of Bill Elliott, and Earnhardt was right behind me, and we take the green. I had a little jump on Bill.
Engine smoking, tires smoking, and Bodine breaking loose, literally, up there in the middle of the turn.
Well, I'll tell you what happened, Keith. Bodine came down a little bit too soon on Bill Elliott, and they got together. That's what started the whole thing.
In the first lap, Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine got into it, and Bill Elliott hit them, and Earnhardt took off, and Bill Elliott took off after him, and poor old Jeff was sideways down there in the second corner.
I really thought I was going to be able to beat him. If I could get ahead of him, I thought we were going to beat him. Next thing I know, in the middle of 1 and 2, I was going sideways. I got spun around.
He said that Bodine and Bill got into each other. I think he had a hand in it.
Bodine is back out on the racetrack, but back in the pack, toward the rear of the pack. Your leader now is Dale Earnhardt, but it's Bill Elliott in that T-Bird that's been running faster than anybody all day, and he closes right in behind. Look how close he is to Earnhardt coming down off turn number 4.
That competitive dominance, look, there's only so much territory, and they both want it, and it's not that they probably don't respect one another or couldn't have been friends and gone fishing or whatever, but on that day, I mean, Elliott was winning a lot, Earnhardt was winning a lot, and they both wanted the same piece of ground at the same time.
There's only one first-place paycheck. If you don't want it more than the guy that you have to race every week, and you know that mentally, if he knows I'm not going to let you have anything, you get up there, I'm going to put a little sheet metal on you. I think half the battle's won. I mean, a lot of people look in the mirror and see that 3-car, and they'd absolutely go into how am I going to let him by and in a hurry so he don't get irritated.
That melee was just the prelude. After the restart, Earnhardt took matters in his own hands in a dramatic effort to hold off Elliott.
Elliott now getting a challenge from Tim Richmond, but he closes again right in behind Earnhardt, coming down off turn 4. And Earnhardt loses it, goes on the grass, comes back, and Elliott goes inside. And Earnhardt still got the lead. Incredible.
No one has ever gotten a car that far out of shape and saved it, particularly when it was in the grass.
He just took himself to another level, and he just really proven the kind of driver he really was, and that he had just shown everybody in that field how much better than he was than they were.
Remarkable, back into the corner they go. Elliott is again there, right behind Earnhardt. Again, Labonte trying to peel off number 2 corner to the inside of Tim Richmond. That's a battle for third, and now Earnhardt and Elliott are side by side.
Elliott is going to try the outside line down the backstretch. Into turn 3 they go. He's going to go in on the outside of Earnhardt. They touch again. Tire smoke, side by side, hooked together. Down to the bottom comes Terry Labonte, and he's going to pass them both. Labonte will take the lead. Elliott got muscled out of the way by Earnhardt. Labonte went to the bottom of the racetrack, snookered Earnhardt for the lead, but Earnhardt has more power down the straightaway. They'll be dead even
field and 4 cars deep in turn 1. Unbelievable racing. Back into the corner they go.
Earnhardt always wanted to intimidate you. You know, if he'd get a fender, he'd beat your fenders off or whatever he had to do. You know, and I was on the flip side of that, because if I knocked the fender off, I had to go home and fix it.
Earnhardt went on the grass down the home straight. Still able to hold on to his lead. And now Elliott gives up low and goes high. And he's loose at the turn and has to drop back. He got the wiggling around. Elliott almost went to the wall.
He was already pretty much known as an aggressive driver at that point, but I think that it just added fuel to that little bit of fire that was going on about that.
You got to be careful when you're out on the highway. You can't do those kind of things. And, you know, Earnhardt was that guy in the black Suburban on the interstate who made the bold moves. He got away with it.
Earnhardt getting by Elliott as Earnhardt went to the grass down the home straight and hung on. Elliott going to the pits. Something happened to his car, and he just fell right out of it.
I think he's got a flat tire, Keith.
He may well have. And it is Earnhardt, Labonte, Richmond, 1, 2, 3. Earnhardt for $200,000.
I tried every way in the world to pass him, and his car was about 60 feet wide that day. So, you know, and then I just got so frustrated with what had happened and the way he was trying to race me that I just kind of blew a fuse.
That kind of a race right there will bring the nice out. It exposes it, doesn't it?
Oh, me. Yes, sir. There was some knuckle busting in that one.
Well, that was something else. You know, Bill spun that 95 car out and caused a big mess, and then he come up there and tried to spin me out twice. I didn't take it.
The thing of it is, I was clearly under him, and I was going on. I clearly had the quickest car. You know, he was trying to cut me off every way he could.
Even though a couple of moves might have been wrong moves, and a couple of them weren't fair, and they gave back and forth a little bit, and Eddie just, you know, come out on the good end of the deal.
Coming up, the legacy of the man who gave NASCAR one of its greatest moments. The All-Star Spotlight 1987. We'll be right back. Ass in the Grass, All-Star Spotlight 1987. A moment in time 2 decades ago that will still elevate the blood pressure of a great many fans to this day. For Dale Earnhardt, the famous move to hold off Bill Elliott was just another day at the office. But it was a day that went a long way toward making his place as a stock car racing legend.
You know, I think it just added to that he was a tough, rough and tough kind of driver. He hadn't really solidified his man in black status, his Intimidator status. All that was sort of just over the horizon.
In a certain way, if you gave ground to Earnhardt, he didn't respect you. He didn't think much of you. So, I mean, that goes along with being the toughest kid on the block. He felt that he was.
It's there for history to see, and down to people still today. Young drivers will see that and shake their head and say, how did he do it? How did he get away with that?
I remember him standing in victory lane, and he said, yeah, the old rascal almost got away from me. And I remember laughing, just thinking, that is so cool that he can make light of the situation. You know, he's sliding sideways at 160 miles an hour.
The respect between Earnhardt and Elliott carried on throughout their careers.
They worked their way through the racing ranks. I mean, I know he really got along really good with Bill. It's the racetrack thing. He just couldn't stand to be beat.
From similar childhood backgrounds to the talent they both had behind the wheel, these two giants would always have a connection, one that started that memorable day in 1987.
Elliott had to back off because he didn't know which way Earnhardt was going to go coming out of the grass.
That put Earnhardt in control, literally, of the race, because later on there was another bumping over in turn 2, and Bill Elliott had both tires go flat on the left side of the car, and I think all of them are battle-scarred.
If I could have got back out on the racetrack, I'd have wrecked him. I've never been so mad in my life. I would have wrecked him on the racetrack. That's all there was to it. I had that in my mind. You know, nobody's going, and I think that's the maddest I've ever been. He cut down on me, cut me off. You know, I was clearly there. Come back around here, I was clearly under him good coming back here to the tri-oval. He tried to cut me off again to the grass. You know, then going down the back straightaway, he slows up, lets me get to the outside of him, and nearly puts me in the wall going into 3 and 4.
On the restart, we was coming off 2 over and Bill turned me sideways, and lucky we saved that, and we was still in lead, and he come off through here and turned me down in the grass. So I just took it he wanted to play rough.
But after a little while, I kind of got over it, and we kind of see eye to eye now, and it ain't no big deal.
Bill and I had some hard feelings over it, but we talked after that. The next week, I think it was on Wednesday of the following week for the 600. I went over and talked to him, and he and I talked about it, and we sort of put it behind us and went on and raced. And we had pretty good friends since then, and I got a lot of respect for him because he's such a competitor, a tough competitor, and you know, it was just one of those exciting days.
How about the 3 and that 3-second thrill ride across the Lowe's Motor Speedway lawn? It happened 20 years ago. It seems like yesterday. What a race, what a moment, and what a memory. I'm Dave Despain. Thanks for being part of this All-Star Spotlight 1987.